What's up, y'all? It's Ty. In this video today, we're going to be going over our best cornerbacks right now in college football 25 Ultimate Team and ranking them from S tier all the way down to F tier. Now, we'll talk about each and every one of the cards on a college football fan, going over their stats and animations and those types of things as well. Now, we are going to include Charles Woodson in this. Obviously, easy S tier. But remember, he's not available yet. You do have to lock in each and every one of the legends for the card. But Charles Woodson, and this is what I mean by the animations, like, do they strip the ball? Do they, play ball in the air? All of those types of things. For Charles Woodson, 94 speed acceleration, 96 man coverage, 93 zone coverage, 94 change of direction, great hit power. Charles Woodson is going to be the best corner in the game when the card does come out. I mean, there's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. 6'1", better in man than zone, but perfect nearly in zone coverage as well. Card is just an absolute beast. There's no really questions asked. Charles Woodson, S tier. We're going to go one from the top and then one from the bottom. Travis Hunter, 88 overall. Now, we have so many Travis Hunter cards, it's hard to kind of keep them straight. The 88 Travis Hunter is fine. 88 speed, 87 acceleration, good change of direction, good man coverage. It's crazy that this card came out a while ago and is still pretty solid. From the speed to the acceleration, change of direction, the card is still really solid. It's just at this stage, we do have better corners in the game. Primetime, Deion Sanders up next, S tier. Outside of Woodson, I would say Deion Sanders is your best cornerback in the game. But that 80 change of direction just does not sit right with me. It just doesn't sit right. I get the card does a lot right. But again, the speed acceleration is fine. I just really wish that change of direction was a little bit better. If it was, he'd be nearly as good as Charles Woodson, genuinely. Like, if the change of direction wasn't an 80, I'd be talking about this card as, even when Charles Woodson's out, being a top corner in the game. And he's going to still be one of them. But I just don't know. Come in a couple of weeks, there might be better corners than Deion Sanders. Benjamin Morrison, I'm going to throw an S tier, and then I'll go back to the bottom of the list. The thing for Benjamin Morrison is this. He's more of a zone cover than cover corner than man cover corner. But I like the card. 93 speed, 88 change of direction, 6 feet tall. Just does a lot of things that you want on the field. Now, yes, in man coverage, a guy like Deion Sanders is going to be quite a bit better. But in zone coverage, Benjamin Morrison is a beast. I've had this card for a while, and he's an absolute stud. Aqib Talib on this list, not great, but he's better than Tommy Hill. Let's start with Talib. I don't think he's as good as, even the Travis Hunter card, who I just went over. 88 speed, 88 man coverage, solid change of direction, solid, just overall card. Not necessarily perfect in that zone coverage, but Talib can still play. Don't necessarily think he's perfect, but he can absolutely play. Now, for Tommy Hill, card's not good. 84 speed. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to have anybody else at F tier here, but Tommy Hill, I think it's safe to say, is probably the worst cornerback on this tier list. Now, again, I'm not trying to hate on Tommy Hill. He's probably fine if you really want to run the card. He's just not a corner for me. Jenkins, A tier. Pons, I'm going to go A tier as well. Both cards are good. I just think it comes down to, again, we've seen prime time. We're seeing some of these other good cards. Malcolm Jenkins, really good at man coverage, 92 speed, 92 man coverage, but only that 82 change of direction. To me, he's pretty similar to prime time, but just not as good, right? Like, still better in man coverage. Change of direction is a little bit low, just slightly worse than prime time. For D'Angelo Pons, let's take a look at what that card gives you on the field. He's got 92 speed, way better in zone coverage than man coverage. Honestly, if you run a lot of zone coverage, Pons can absolutely play. Problem is, he's only 5'9". Like, that's the big problem I have with D'Angelo Pons. This stage, I just don't really see the need of running that card. Darian Porter, Xavier Brown, our next two guys. For Porter, I'm going to go C tier. For Brown, I think I got to go D tier. Now, let's start with Darian Porter. He's 6'4". He's got 88 speed, 89 acceleration, 90 man coverage. But he's only got a 70 change of direction. The change of direction is crazy, but if somebody's running like a streak route, something like that, there's not many better man cover corners than Darian Porter. Great speed, great acceleration. The change of direction does stink, so he can get absolutely cooked if somebody runs like a zig route, those types of things. But I do like the overall picture of what Darian Porter can give you on the court. Now for Zabian Brown, that's the other card we've got to talk about here. I like Zabian Brown. I think the card's fine, but he's way better in zone coverage than man coverage. It's a situation you got to know your personnel. If you do run a lot of zone coverage, Zabian Brown might be a great card for you. If you mix up the looks, he's going to get fried in that man coverage. D tier for Zabian Brown. Harvey up next. I think with Harvey, I got to go A tier. I just love the overall card. Now with Harvey, I'm not going to upgrade him. However, if you do upgrade him, just gets that slightly better. 6 feet tall for Harvey, better in zone coverage, but solid in man coverage. 91 speed, 91 change of direction. What do you want me to say negative about Harvey? There's not a whole lot I can. Especially if you do upgrade this card, he becomes one of your best corners in the entire game. A tier for Harvey. Noah Williams, it's tough. Because for Noah Williams, going to be better in zone coverage than man coverage. And I just think the majority of people watching this video probably want man cover corners. I don't know. I run probably more zone than man, but I'm pretty even. 6'1", really good in zone coverage, good change of direction. I still got to go A tier for Noah Williams because if you do play zone coverage, he is going to be one of the better corners on this entire list. Now back to the bottom, Revel as well as Darian Strong. For I think both cards probably will be in D tier. Let's start with Revel here, who obviously, again, if you need a corner, can play 88 speed, 89 acceleration, solid man coverage, decent change of direction, 6'3". In man coverage, Revel is actually really solid. To me, just nearly as good as Darian Porter. Just don't know. Darian Porter is an inch taller. I don't know. It's tough. I think I've got to go C tier with the card. For Darian Strong here, guys, another solid corner in the game. It's just really tough to separate these cards. Solid man, solid zone. I just don't necessarily love his height. I'm going to go D tier. It's just tough because it's like, do I really think that a guy, let's say like, Revel is that much better than Darian Strong? Not really. But it's just tough because where am I supposed to separate them? It's really, really tough. Dennard, you've got to go A tier. For me with Darqueze Dennard, it all starts with his speed. And his speed is a 92, 91 acceleration, good change of direction, great zone coverage. If you play zone coverage, Dennard is one of the best corners in the entire game. The 88 Dennard, not so good. And this is what I want to talk about. They're all different. 87 speed, 86 acceleration, good in zone coverage, but he's only got 87 speed. I think I've got to go F tier. And I think that's a pretty solid situation. Now for the 89 Dennard, again, we have a bunch of different Dennards here. The 89 Dennard, 88 speed, 87 acceleration, 90 zone coverage. I think he's got to go C tier. And yes, I think this is pretty accurate, although I really don't necessarily love having the 88 Dennard in F tier because he is quite a bit better than Tommy Hill. But remember, Tommy Hill, he shouldn't be who we set our standard on. The 84 speed of his is absolutely ridiculous. McCoy up next. I don't know, man. I think he's just another one of these A-tier corners in the game. In 91 speed, 91 man coverage. Change of direction is a little low, only 6 feet tall. Maybe B tier for McCoy at this stage. I do like him in man coverage, though. Next up, Evison. I don't even know how you pronounce Davison, my fault. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but I like this card in Davison. I've said it in some of my past videos. This is a card that absolutely can play, especially if you do run a lot of man coverage. I really like this card. Let's start with the fact that he is 6'2", 88 speed, 90 acceleration, 89 man coverage. Card is really good, just as good as Darian Porter, especially if, obviously playing that man coverage. For Jabbar Muhammad, going to be better in zone coverage and man coverage. One pro to Jabbar Muhammad is, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the best team chemistry is that Oregon team chemistry. If you put that on Jabbar Muhammad, or I guess you don't even have to put it on Jabbar Muhammad. That's why I really like the card. But he has really good speed, really good acceleration, solid change of direction, better in zone coverage than man coverage. Problem with the card is he's only 6'10", or 5'10", I should say. That's the big problem with Jabbar Muhammad, but still A tier nonetheless. 90 overall, Malcolm Jenkins, still B tier. 90 speed, solid man coverage. And this is the problem. This is why I do not like to put cards like McCoy at B tier, because he's better than Jenkins by quite a bit. So I'm going to move McCoy up. Jenkins, you're B tier. Willie the third. If you play man coverage, good luck finding much better than Willie the third. Genuinely, this card is an absolute beast. 90 speed, 88 acceleration. Change of direction only 83 there, but 92 man coverage, 85 zone coverage, 6'3". Willie the third is just an absolute beast. 88 Jenkins. I don't like him, to be honest. I don't think the card is great if we go back to the 88 Jenkins. 88 speed, decent acceleration, change of directions low, doesn't play any real zone coverage. It's just tough to run a card like that. Now for the 89 Jenkins, I'm going to throw him at C tier because then he gets the 89 speed, which is really solid. It's better than a lot of the guys at C tier. So it's tough to separate these cards, but I think especially for what their prices are, it's so much more worth it just to get the 89 overall for an extra 10,000 coins for you guys. The 90 overall Travis Hunter up next. And this is one of those situations where it's just like we've got so many different Travis Hunters in the game. This card is good. 90 speed, 91 acceleration, good change of direction, 6'1", 90 man coverage. Card is an absolute beast in Travis Hunter. I think he honestly is deserving of A tier. Genuinely. I think he's that good. Quincy Riley, A tier as well. I've got a lot of A tier corners because I genuinely don't know how to separate them. Like even for Quincy Riley, 90 speed, good change of direction, good acceleration, great man coverage, 6 feet tall, can play zone coverage as well. How is he not A tier? I just think you've got to put the card at A tier, and if you don't, I want to know why. Like, what does he not do to put him at A tier? To me, the card is super, super, super complete on the field. Davion Ross up next, slot corner. I don't know too much about Ross, so again, we'll learn about him together. Obviously, when I did my breakdown, I went over the card. 88 speed, change of directions low, man coverage is low. I don't love Davion Ross, D tier. Prysock, a card I do like. And I'm throwing him at B tier. Whether he deserves B tier or not, I don't know. You guys can be the judge. But I like the card. When I went over him, I liked him in 89 speed, 6'4", 89 change of direction, 88 man coverage. To me, better version of Darian Porter in Prysock. That's literally what you're getting out of this card. 6'4", does everything at an elite level, does Mr. Prysock. Will Johnson, B tier as well. Will Johnson can still play, and at this stage, he's probably getting cheaper and cheaper. Now, obviously, he's not a perfect card at this stage, but he is still one of the better corners in the game, and he's a balanced corner, solid speed, solid acceleration, good change of direction. Is he deserving of B tier? I don't know, but because I'm biased for the card, it's where I'm putting Will Johnson. I've used this card a lot in Season 1, and he's been really good for me. Matthews Jr. up next. This is where things get tough. Is he deserving of B tier? Honestly, I think he is. Has that 89 speed, I do believe. Or, that's the wrong Matthews. Okay, did I type in too many things? There it is. Jermaine Matthews, 89 speed, acceleration, change of direction, man coverage. Look, I know he's only 5'11", but in man coverage, Matthews can absolutely play. D'Angelo Hall, I'm going to go C tier. At this stage, not great. Does have the 89 speed, but there are better corners in the game. Garnes, I'm going to throw you a B tier. I used Garnes for quite a while last season, and the card was good for me. It's just there are better corners, obviously, in the game at this stage, but Aiden Garnes can play, especially in man coverage. Rod Woodson up next. I think I've got to go B tier for Rod Woodson. Obviously, again, as time's gone on, Rod Woodson isn't nearly as valuable as he once was, but 89 speed, good acceleration, good change of direction, good man coverage. To me, he's one of the better overall cards that is an 89 overall. Like, obviously, there are going to be cards better than him, but Rod Woodson is still a beast on this game. I do want to apologize that I put so many cards at A tier. It's just tough to separate them, genuinely. So, A tier or above are all cards that I really do like, really do respect on the field. B tier or lower, cards you might want to look to upgrade at some stage. But again, find some good budget options that fit your scheme. If you're in man coverage, some better options. If you're in zone coverage, there's obviously some better options in there as well. But let me know your thoughts on this tier list down below in the comments, guys. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're doing it. As always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.